Hello, my people. Welcome to today's episode with True Talk with DJ Nero. And today I have here with me an amazing, beautiful, smart young lady.
Okay.
She goes by the name Zoe. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, Zoe?
I did the last time.
Yeah, but you can do that again.
Oh, right, okay. So, what do you want to know? I'm Zoe. I'm from Belfast.
Okay.
I am 21 years old.
Okay.
Plus 9.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And I was not prepared to be coming here tonight for just to be me and you.
Okay.
I was lied to. But yeah.
Did I lie to you?
Yes, you did.
How?
Because you told me other people would be here.
No, I didn't.
Well,
We didn't have that conversation.
I assumed.
You assumed. Okay, that's fine. It's. I mean, at the end of the day, we have you here. Thank you very much for coming. I have a topic for you. Technically, more like a question. But just before we go ahead with today's episode, there is something I want to introduce, which is we call it a True Talk Bible. And I'm sure you're looking at me like, where did that come from?
What?
It's a Bible which we intend to use to, more like a disclaimer to keep ourselves right.
Okay.
And basically, there is not too much about it. It's just to let our viewers know that everything, we're talking about, it's all based on our views without any prejudice.
Okay.
That's just it. So, today, I want to ask you, I said a topic, but again, it's more like, it's a question. And you probably might be, you might be slightly shocked, but I know you won't be. It's something I know you can deal with. I want to ask you, in the first instance, right, when you initially met someone from an ethnic minority background. What was that's for you? I want you to be honest with me here. What was your thought?
Of anyone?
When you initially met one. So technically when you met someone from an ethnic minority background.
I have to be honest. I have a lot of friends from ethnic minority backgrounds, if we're being really kind of politically correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be really honest with you.
Okay.
So I sometimes do feel a bit anxious, okay, or a little bit worried that I might say something I shouldn't.
Okay, things like?
I don't know, just something that might offend him.
Okay.
Because the one thing I wouldn't want to do is offend anyone. So you, I would never want to offend you in any way, shape or form. But I'm also a very curious person. And I like to know what's going on and why you do certain things. So it might come across that I'm being a bit ignorant. Not ignorant as in rude, but ignorance as in I don't know a lot. So I'll ask you loads of things why are you wearing that hat?
Good question.
Why are you wearing the outfit tonight?
Another good question.
That type of stuff. I know this is what you would wear, but obviously anytime I would see you just in jeans and t-shirt, I'm kind of
you've never seen me on this before.
No, so I'm kind of why? Is it a special occasion?
Wow. That's a good one because we don't dress like this just for fun. It has some some link with our culture, with my culture. So if I have an occasion, I would dress like this.
So this is your Sunday best.
Kind of going by my background.
Yeah.
Right. So the app, it's another one. That's to make everything, to make it all complete. You have to come out like that. And I'll show you. I like the question you've asked me, and I'll show you some videos and I'll give the reason to why we dress like this. But having said that, we only dress like this when there is an occasion, when there is something, very important to us. So, for example, if you're getting married, you would dress like this.
Would you have to wear a certain colour?
That's another good question. So, depends on the couples. So, if I like, for example, depending on the color I like, I might choose to wear white, and you might like, say, for example, a touch of blue. So what we could then do is, okay, we want everyone to come in white and a touch of blue. So that could be the hat could be blue and the top could be white.
So like the groom and bride would choose.
Exactly. So, but for this one, so it's not a wedding, it's not a christening, but it's because I'm having you today, so I need to show you how it's done based on my background.
And what would a girl wear?
I'll tell you one on our next episode.
Well, I'll wear it. I don't want a hat.
Yeah. Well, you know where I'm going. There's an egg here that you can.
Oh, right.
Well, again, going back to the actual topic. So you said you're quite anxious and you like to know things, but you tend not to ask those questions because you don't want to hurt someone.
No, I'll always ask the questions.
You ask me questions.
So you know what I'm like. I'll ask questions till I'm blue in the face, but I do always feel anxious that would someone be insulted by the type of questions I'm asking. So, like, for example, like me kind of joking with your hat, would that, I know you, so I know I can joke with you, but if it was someone else, I'd kind of be like, I shouldn't have said that, or would that offend them?
But there are a lot of people out there that obviously don't have the opportunity to ask these questions.
Yeah.
And they find it really difficult to interact with people from a different background. And it's causing a bit of, don't want to say trouble, but drama out there because they just don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
But we are talking about this to technically, educate ourselves, educate our audience, just to know it's not really an issue to ask questions. Obviously, if you know the person, then you ask as much as you like. But were you, apart from being anxious, were you ever scared?
No, I wouldn't say scared. As I say, it would just be anxious that I would offend someone or annoy someone by asking too many questions.
Okay.
But so funny enough with the topic, I was speaking with my mum during the week, and I was saying I was coming over tonight again.
Right.
And I remember weeks ago you had said about doing this and like the type of questions that you would maybe want to chat about, and my mum was asking, and I was telling her she was interested, and I was saying Mum, that he was thinking of like mentioning stuff about this and talking about this, and I had mentioned about ethnic minorities, and I was saying to her, I was like that doesn't really stand out for me because I can't think of like the first time I met somebody from an ethnic minority. And I have racked my brain a bit, kind of going, when was the first time I've met someone like from another country or another colour or anything, and I can't think. And my mum knew right away. She was like, the first time that she had met someone of a different colour was when the British Army came into Belfast.
Okay.
Yep. So before that, she hadn't.
And did she tell you her experience?
She just said that she can remember. So obviously, it kind of stayed with her that she can remember that first time, because obviously she wasn't used to it. But for me, I went to school with people from India, Portugal, Spain, everywhere. And I remember even back at school, when anyone came like new to school that came from somewhere else, everyone would have like kind of crowded around them. But it wasn't kind of like, oh, you're different. It was more like they were intrigued, to kind of go, oh, well, where do you come from and what do you do, and do you know about this? And knowing that they didn't kind of know all our wee kind of sayings and things like that. So even at the minute, I work with a fellow from Africa, and even his family live in London. And I would always ask him questions like, so what do you do and why do you do this and why do you wear that type of clothes?
Does it come with this?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't wear that hat to work.
They would dress normal like jeans and
yeah, he would wear shirt and trousers, but I would always ask him.
Which is good. I mean, you love asking questions, and that's the only way you can understand and you can get to know how things are done, or the things you really want to know. The only way you get to know them is by asking questions. Yeah. So you haven't done anything bad by doing that, but I can remember the first time I bumped into a Caucasian. I was very little, and I remember it was back in Africa, and I was with my dad. So he took me to the beach, and I bumped into one, and I'm like, I was slightly scared, to be honest.
Really? Why?
Yes. And the reason was I have never seen one before.
Right, okay.
The only one I've seen, because I grew up with my sisters. I've got two sisters, and they only have a doll in the house. And we don't have a black doll, let me put it that way.
Okay.
So they only have them in that color. And I'm like, okay, I only see a doll in this form, not in real life. And I bump into one and I'm like, ooh, where has this come from? Is this for real? So I was scared. So I held my dad's hand, and in there he was laughing,
Aww.
So, and that's still there. That's taken my mind. I can't forget that. I was a child. I was probably about maybe 4 years old, 5 years old then. And I can still remember. So it keeps coming back to me, and I'm thinking, if I felt that way when I was 5, I'm sure that people which I live with now, and I do things with, I work with, that might have experienced such a thing, but never had the opportunity to share it.
But I think it's a generation thing. So obviously you're older than me.
Not really.
You are. So that's maybe why
I take that as a compliment about that.
That stuck with you more.
Yeah.
So obviously as the generations go on, for me it's not that big a thing. Okay. And I hope for my son that it's absolutely nothing. Like he would never have to think about it. So would Nigeria at the minute not have a lot more white people?
I do.
Yeah. So it's a generation thing, because obviously there's more flights going into Nigeria. So
there have been lots of flights coming in the past as well. Don't make it sound like there was no flight going.
No. Well, back in your day, did they have planes?
Back in my days,
yeah.
I wasn't born in the 60s. I wasn't born in the 70s. I was born in the 80s.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
I thought you were like a 70s baby. But you know what I mean. So flights are a lot more common.
Oh yeah. Now, right? Compared to when I was born.
When you were born. So that's
Which
why.
is the 60s, you mean, yeah?
Yes.
Or the 50s.
40s. No, but you know what I'm saying.
I do.
So obviously there's a lot more white people going in, so it wouldn't be as common for a Nigerian boy never to have seen a white person.
There might be some.
Some, but not as common.
Yeah, because we also have the countryside, which is more like very interior, they don't really come to the town. So when you say, so there might end up now, there might be some people there as we speak. Not only, I would just use the word Africa, because that would cover.
Would they not have a TV?
There might be some rural areas
that wouldn't.
That might not. Yeah.
So again, I'm asking you that, and for somebody watching this could go, "That's very ignorant of her to think that."
Right.
But I don't mean that in an ignorant way. I'm just kind of going.
That's you understanding.
Is that is there actually people in Africa that don't have a TV? Because
sure.
I've never been to Africa.
You need to come.
I do. Mm-hmm. The only time I have known anything about Africa is what I see on TV.
Okay. And but again, going by what you're saying, for the ones that don't have a TV, for example, that means they might have not seen anyone else.
Oh, yeah. No, I get that.
And which makes it more difficult for them to manage as well, because from my perspective, I grew up that way, and these are the things I saw while I was growing, and I still have that in my mind, because I'm thinking there might be people out there that have the same issue when the first time they bump into one, because again, it's also known, it's generally believed as well that we, ethnic minorities are perceived being aggressive,
really?
or being loud. Again, the ethnic minority as well, they have, there's a way they feel when you realize someone doesn't feel too comfortable around you. Because as I said, it's generally believed that we are perceived loud. And truly, yes, we are loud. And when I say loud, in terms of we might be having a conversation, I might be having a conversation with my friend, and then we just having a chat, and laugh, and you might be behind the door thinking that they're having a fight, but we're not, because we're just loud. And the way we talk at times, our expression might seem like, is he hungry? and we're not angry. It's just how we express ourselves, because we tend to like demonstrate a lot with our body, with our hands, and it feels like is it being aggressive? Even at work, at times, there are some questions that you might get asked, and just the way you respond, they might then look at you like, oh, it seems like he's not happy with that.
Yeah.
And technically, you have no issues with that. It's just something we grew up with. It's just how we handle things, and that's what we know. So, doing things that way would definitely rub on other people, and people may start thinking, I think they're a bit too defensive, they're a bit too, closed up. We don't really know what they're thinking. Is he really happy with me? So you mentioned, you weren't scared. You had a lot of them around you when you were growing up.
Yes, when I say a lot, when I was at school, yes, there would have been people from different parts of the world, but not as many as now. So if I go into my old school now,
yes,
it's there's children from everywhere, and it's amazing to see. They just mix in. So there would be different colours of skin. Ones that would wear like the head wraps, and all the other. Sorry again, I don't know the real name for them. But the kids that are there now just accept it. I have a lot of younger cousins at primary school, and it wouldn't faze them. So I'll give you an example. It's not really about an ethnic minority. Yeah. Well, no, it's not. But I have a younger cousin who was in P1.
Okay.
And there was a little boy called Connor who he played with. That was fine. They left for the summer, went back in September, and Connor was now Colin in P2.
Changed names from Connor to Colin?
Yes, so he had decided that he didn't want to be a boy anymore, he was now a girl, and he was wearing a girl's uniform. And when my wee cousin came home, so what are they in P2? Like 6?
P2,
7?
Yeah, we'll be about 6, 7.
6.
Yeah. 6.
He came home and... No, he was just like, Connor's now Colleen, and just carried on playing, and it was the adults more were like, what? Like, what was that?
How did you do with that?
And we were asking more questions. We were like, so what toilets does Colleen go into? Does she use the boys? Because we were more interested, but it did not faze him at all. He was just like, that's what it is. That's what's happened.
That's good. That's good. That's where you see education and exposure.
Yeah.
So someone like that, like your wee cousin, by the time he's grown and he will be cool with a lot of things.
Yeah, it honestly did not faze him in the slightest. So.
And when you guys were asking questions, was he just?
He was more looking at us like, why are you asking me this? Like what's the big deal? You just call him Colleen now, but she wears a girl's uniform. I find that hard to get my head around at such a young age, but obviously times are changing, so it's something that you just have to
deal with.
Accept.
Well, that boils down to exposure.
It's exposure.
Which now.
But even with that, the one thing that worries me or makes me a little bit anxious is the words that I'm using. So I keep referring to Colleen as him or he.
Right.
So even like when you mentioned about speaking about ethnic minorities, I was like, I would never want to offend, because terminologies change so often, and it's like, oh, you can't say that word anymore because that's offensive, and you can't use that word anymore because that's offensive. And I would die if I ever offended you. So
again, that's the reason why we're having this conversation, because myself and you can have this chat, because I know you for a long time. You know me. You've known me for about 5-6 years, if not more, and you know who I am. We've had lots of conversations, so I've got a thick skin to take all of that, and I'm really happy to tell you, as much as you care to know, not everybody out there will be as bold as I am to say what I'm saying to you.
But this is a topic that we're talking about, and even you are trying to
be careful
and beat around the bush in how you're pronouncing it, because you're afraid of offending someone.
Yeah, but because there are a lot of people out there listening, and myself and you have no issues around it.
Yeah,
but you don't want to offend anyone.
No, of course.
Because some people will pick those words and feel like, why did you say that?
Yeah.
But we need, technically, I need to make them understand we're only saying it because we want everyone to understand.
Yeah.
But we mean no harm. We mean no, we're not doing this to offend anyone.
No, of course.
So, but not everybody will perceive it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would still say, why are they even having that conversation?
Yeah.
But I would rather have this conversation because this would help a lot of people out there that feel slightly, scared of asking all these questions. Because you can as well stop if you see me out there. I don't mean I'm that thick-skinned where you can just ask me any stupid question, but at the same time, there is no stupid question.
Mm-hmm.
There is always a reason why you're asking all these questions. So I would say, feel free to people. So the only reason why we're doing this is anyone out there, if you meet anyone and you feel like you have because again, you need to have some sort of, what's the word? Relationship with that person to be able to ask them certain questions. You don't bump into a stranger and ask questions. And feel free anytime. And anyone out there, feel free to ask me questions. As long as we already have a good relationship, I'll be more than happy to tell you how I feel, how things are, because you've explained to us today how you feel. The only thing you were just anxious, you wanted to know more, and you love to ask questions, which is good. And there are so many people out there as well that would like to ask the similar questions. But because they don't have someone like me next to them, they might not be able to have. They don't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity. Feel free anytime. If you have anything bothering you about this topic, again, like you said, your mom also is interested. So I'll possibly have your mom on board at some point, and then she can share her own view. So overall, thank you very much for coming again, Zoe. And I really appreciate your time coming in. And your thoughts and your contribution to the True Talk. Now you know us really well. You know True Talk. It's our talk show. It belongs to everyone.
Can you put my name on the credits?
Oh yes.
Okay,
I'll put it on. And I would say again, for people out there watching, it's me again. It's DJ Nero, and I would say feel free anytime you see me, whether in town, anywhere, ask me for a cup. I'm more than happy to give you one of that. That's a True Talk cup. You have one already.
Home, yeah.
You're taking yours home already, okay? And just feel free. Ask me for one. I'll pass it on. No problem. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. We have loads and loads of topics that we haven't unleashed yet, which we will be doing. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening. It's me again, DJ Nero. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.